A major victory for anti-rhino poaching efforts. The South African National Parks has welcomed the lengthy jail terms handed down by the Skukuza Magistrates Court on two convicted rhino poachers. The two Mozambican nationals arrested in 2019 were found guilty of trespassing and killing rhino in the Kruger National Park. The 59 and 57-year-olds were each sentenced to 23 years in prison. While SanParks spokesperson Isaac Phaahla joins me now for an update on that particular situation. So 23 years is quite a significant sentence that has been handed down, Braik.
Tulas, and good afternoon to the viewers. It certainly is very encouraging, and we think it will motivate our anti-poaching teams that their efforts are not in vain, especially when it comes to the convictions as well as the sentencing.
Is it a flash in the pan for justice for this kind of crime, or is it a pattern that we are starting to pick up, that the law enforcement and prosecutorial services are starting to get a grip of the elements of the crime and how to prove it and how to secure conviction and lengthy sentences?
I think this is it's a pattern that has been developing over the past 3 to 4 years, where we have seen courts taking these matters very seriously. But it also speaks to the cooperation that we have with the NPA, that we have with the South African Police Services, as well as our Environmental Crime Investigative Unit. Because when we find a crime scene, we have to secure it, call in the forensics from the South African Police Service, who will then take statements and take any evidence that they find there, because that's not our mandate, it's their mandate. They then have to compile a docket, which is taken to the NPA, and therefore they prepare for a trial. And we have seen really compelling arguments being presented by the prosecution team, which has resulted in heavy sentences. Last year, we saw 2 other men were sentenced to a total of 103 years. And we think this sends a strong message to those who intend getting into the Kruger National Park to come and commit crimes, and also to rob us of our natural heritage.
In terms of these 2 that have now been convicted and sentenced, Braik, what do we know about how they fit in within the architecture of organized crime, that is rhino and wildlife poaching in general? Because, I don't need to tell you that this is organized crime that links with other categories of organized crime. What do we know about them? What level were they, and how much of a disruption to organized crime will their conviction and sentence be?
It's sad to say that these are the foot soldiers. They are at the bottom rung of the level. And I'm glad it's a very important question to Lasizwe, because this, as we know, illicit wildlife crime accounts for about is worth about $23 billion US. So there are people who are at level 1 and level 2. Those are the important people that needs to be arrested and be taken to the courts if we are to win this battle. The level 5s, there's many of them that are queuing to take the position of the 2 that have been convicted. And the other thing is that we also have to take the rifles out of circulation. The Kruger National Park anti-poaching teams can only do as much inside to the Kruger National Park. But if we are to win this battle, it has to be done outside by gathering intelligence and getting the money bags out of circulation. Because we know that it's also associated with socio-economic things, though largely it is criminality and it's also about greed.
Yeah, and lastly then, Braik, and I think following on from that question, you will have seen the report from our current affairs program, Checkpoint, last month, about this one particular case that would perhaps have been the flagship for what is possible in terms of disrupting organized crime and its impact on our wildlife. The case of Davy Groenewald and others that are accused there. That has been before the courts for about 12 years. How frustrated are you as SanParks about this particular case, and have you been able to make any moves to put more pressure where the prosecutorial teams have just not come to the party in trying to get this case concluded, putting aside the delays that are from, application after application from the defendants?
Well, we certainly are concerned about some of the outstanding cases that have taken long to come to the courts and be finalized. But as you know, Tulas, that in this country, and there are legal ways that people try and delay their day in court. But we think that justice delayed is justice denied. But regardless, we have to respect their rights to the courts and to make as many applications as they can. But there comes a time where the prosecution has to also present compelling arguments to the magistrates or the judges to say that this has been going on for far too long. Because on the flip side of it is that we get these people who are at the high echelons of this criminal syndicate, who then have to service their lawyers, have to get more money for their lawyers, and therefore they go and recruit as many people as they can, and that compounds the problem because we get as many people inside the park.
Yeah.
As we speak, we might have 3 or 4 groups that are in the park trying to hunt rhino illegally, and that is also to fund their defense.
Lastly, Bra Ike, what are you able to say about the picture of rhino poaching, as a specific category of environmental crime and wildlife crime in the last year or so? Is the picture improving? Is it getting worse? I remember having conversations in the early parts of the lockdown that, it seemed to have a particular impact. But, as restrictions are being eased, what's the picture looking like?
Well, the picture is, we are encouraged because last year around this time we had lost close to around 450 animals. But we have lost 41 less this year, and that is due to the diligence of the rangers and their hard work and dedication. But more needs to be done because one animal lost is one too many. Several things have been done by the Kruger National Park. One of them is dehorning the cows strategically, and that is to try and boost the populations that we have because they are on the decline. But we aim to just stabilize the population so that we don't lose this species so that those who come behind us can also be able to enjoy them.
Yeah.
We have put in some technology in there. The cameras that we have put in recently, they are also proving to provide quite another tool in the toolbox. So it's not looking as grim as it's been reported, but we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. It's good to see you, Bra Ike. And I feel like I owe my viewers an explanation why I keep calling you Bra Ike. My team will be very unhappy. I mean, they've written in very formalistic terms, Isaac Phaahla. I did work with you many, many years ago, and I used to be one of your producers.
I spoke to the producers before and told them that, did you know that I used to work with Tulas on radio some years back? And Tulas, I must say, from our side, we're very proud of the progress that you have made and the work that you are doing.
Thank you, Bra Ike. Thank you, Bra Ike. It's good to see you. That is SanParks spokesperson there, Isaac Phaahla. Isaac Phaahla, they say I should call him Bra Ike to me.